welcome, and back to Britain's Hidden History. Excuse me, just got the microphone a bit nearer. Britain's Hidden History. Sorry, episode number 123, and they said it would never last. Take it away, Leon. Hey. Hey, Gary Taylor. Well done, Gary. You're first. There you go. You stayed up all night. I caught everyone out tonight. We're on time. The thing went up early, everything. Marcel, yeah, far too early. Yeah, we're all far too early. What's going on? We shouldn't start for the 10 minutes yet. Yeah, Ian Briggs, hello, Croiso. Good evening, Charlie John. Yeah, we've been doing lots of work there, reading the Stones and Latin and things like that. Robert Avalon, thank you, Gary. I popped in here to get notifications. Yeah, great on the live, and you can fire away with questions, and I will try and do my best. Thank you, Leon. Thank you. It's a very nice start to the evening there. We have a couple of songs tonight. So we've got questions. We'll try and do that. There'll be a little half-term break. If you're new, you're very, very welcome. And a lot of you must be new because it's just gone push. Ever since the Richard Hall thing, I think most of us first discovered about Wilson and Blackett's work. So lots of people I know are getting loads and loads of messages. It's so heartwarming. So many people saying, I've been reading their book since the 90s, and it's so good to see that there's people talking about it and it's alive again and it's not just been forgotten, and it's just great. So I'm making loads of new friends, so it's really excited. Right, so good Abend, Pope. David Mosey. So I've heard of Wenglish. What would it be? Wendeutsch or something like that. Weldeutsch. Groiso Roberts. Sunday evenings will never be the same again. Yeah, that's it now. This is it. It's amazing. It's great. The same people come every week, and it's like a little club, and we all have a good chat and discuss things. Only thing we ask is keep it polite in the comments. It's a family-friendly show, right? So no potty mouths, and everyone's nice and polite to each other. It's okay to disagree, though, all right? That's okay. There may be archaeology there to uncover. Robert Avalon. I don't know what the question is, but good luck with that. Oh, with Avalon, okay. Oh, Marshall's given some good advice there on what to look for. What's the population of... See, the conversation's already started before I even turn up. So people who can speak Welsh now, and I'll look at your comment and hopefully help you with that translation. There we go. Triana Hyksos. Oh, great name. Triana Hyksos. That's like all the migration stuff in one name there. A geological or incoming astral event. Ooh, right, okay. Ron P. Right, now tonight, as you've seen from the caption card, hopefully, the main theme, it's one of those amazing episodes that Wilson and Blackett bring to our attention that, well, I've never seen it in any history books. It's such a major event. And what you see, I'll pull together some extra graphics and maps and things like that to help it come together. We're coming from King of Glamorgan and Gwent, although it does mention this other places. I'm trying to put it all into one. And it's the idea that in the 6th century, it was a massive Vandal invasion of Britain. I know, if you haven't heard this before, it might sound a bit bonkers, but bear with me, it does work. And as I hopefully will try and show this evening, it does tie in with the sort of consensus or the official accounts of who the Vandals were and what happened to them and all that. And it's a big swathe of central England and a big chunk of Ireland were taken and occupied by the Vandals. So some of the people out there tonight, probably descendants of Vandals. How cool is that? Or not, depending on your viewpoint. Let's look. Who else is on here? We thought we'd do a quiz on Wilson and Blackett work. Hey, Triana fancies chances on there. A quiz. Right, so we got Ian Briggs, Robert Avalon, Ron P. Right, I'll get straight in because we've got loads to cover tonight. Evening on. Here we go. A lot of the familiar faces now. Hello, Brad. Looking forward to meeting you at last. Mr. PH30, Evening All, Squirrel Sniper, Gavin Lloyd. So what we normally do is a little bit of news first. Got a few items from the week, couple of things going on. Give it a little chat now to give people a chance to log in. So if you're watching on the follow-up, as it were, come along on a Sunday evening and have a chance to ask questions and join in the fun, make it part of your week. But if you are coming later in the evening, you can jump forward to where you'll see the caption card, and I'll put chapters in the description if you want to go straight to the bit about the Vandals. Because it always strikes me, you can be watching this in this is 2022. It could be like 2026 or something. The news might be a little bit out of date. Legolas is on, not working tonight. Excellent. Good to see you, Legolas. See you soon this week. Answer your emails. We're supposed to be arranging a meetup. Rhythmistic. Right. Paul Challenger. Hello. Peter Cheeseborough. Hi, folks. Anything on the grave of Brutus? Well, hopefully a gravestone. Haha, boom, boom. We haven't done that for a while. Nigel Phillips. Evening, Ross. First came across you, Wilson and Blackett. A long time back. You're putting it all together. Well done, mate. Thank you very much. Just trying to keep it going. As they always say, we had a... it's Danielle. Excellent. Lovely to see you during the week. Right, we got record numbers of people watching live, so let's... here we go. Alan Rees has jumped ahead of the game a bit. Place names in Wales from south to north with names moch, as in pigs, as a truth, which Wilson and Blackett fans will know what this is all about. Others are going to have to wait. Bill Bacon, very well timed, because mochin is Welsh for pig. Oh, what's going on, Dev?
Let's go, just a person told me something. Let's go, Welsh Relics.
Welsh Relics. Hello, Welsh Relics. I'm really enjoying the channel. If you need a metal detector, I am your man. Yeah, please send me a message to ross@cameraglyphics.com because we do need one. The Vandals took the handles. Murcia, southern Spain. Yeah, we've got all these things. Right, let's charge on, shall we? Because I'm looking forward to this. Okay. I'm going to do a couple of songs. So I need to keep my... I feel like I'm drying up. That's not good. If Angie listen, I need some water. Because one way to keep the numbers down for a long time is I used to sing every week. And it was howls and howls. I've got a little bit better. It's not as bad as it used to be, but this will be your chance to go and get a cup of tea or something, all right? Turn your volume down, all that kind of thing. Got a couple of songs tonight. Hey, and the good news, it's only 3 or 4 weeks ago we had 5,000 subscribers, which is a major milestone. It's now doing 6,400. Just gone poof. So that's great news. Brilliant. And the more of us get on, and what I really try and emphasise on this is I'll leave a bit of the chat open at the end on the comments so you can have a conversation. It's really, really important that we get to know each other. And there's going to be an opportunity for us all to meet up, but make friends within the group. It's great because I get messages now from groups of people who've got to know each other through the channel and through the shared interest in this work. It's brilliant. I've got so many friends I've made through Britain's hidden history just through the last few years. And it's so much better because then people are off doing the work. And it's not like all coming through me or something, heaven forbid. The idea is lots of people get inspired to go and do things. I help, I'll promote, and there's people who've done YouTube channels. You'll see the links in description. I'm right behind you, all the help I can give and make friends. And, we need everyone doing this, not just sort of one channel. So brilliant. Whatever it is you want to do, okay? Someone just volunteered to do a bit of metal detecting. Brilliant. Numbers. We don't get any funding. Numbers what we need. It's going to be all us. It's down to us to save our history. Isn't that mad? Right, so what we got here? Right, this is a message I got from Helen Bolton. I am not going to have time to go through this evening. If you notice, there's a video every day. All right? Be careful saying that and try anyway. I have a video every day. But so I'll try and do it on this one. But Helen spotted, this was interesting. So we got this person called Maylock. Really strange name, or Maylock. 6th century Bishop of Britannia. A settlement founded by expatriate Britons in Galicia, Spain. So this is fascinating. So when you look at the migration stories, there's part of the story that some of the people on the... hopefully everyone knows about this, but the idea is going from Anatolia, from, after Troy, so we're talking Turkey area. Some went to Italy, up to Aisha. Some came all the way around and stopped off in, Galicia, northwest Spain, before making the last trip up to Britain, actually, and some in France as well. But the interesting thing here is this some sort of evidence of the connections? Because we know Brittany is very obvious. It's called Brittany because that's where the Britons were, and the language is Breton, so it's a bit more obvious. The Spanish connection, not so easy. The weird thing is, by the way, the funny thing is, because there's all sorts of links between this part of Spain, like there's language links and DNA links and all that kind of stuff. So it just totally supports the migration story. But, of course, officially it means that somehow the Celts just came out of the ground in Spain. And that's where they started. Oh, did I just say Celts? Oh, God, shoot me. Cymru, Britons. I've been talking about Celts all week. And how the Britons and the Irish are not Celts, right? Never were. Although, I say we never were. We kind of have been for the last 200 years, but it's a mistake. But let's not get into that can of worms tonight. Anyway, so what we have here, he represented his diocese, referred to as the Britonensis Ecclesia, or the Brittonic Church, at the Second Council of Braga in 572. So you still got British Church being represented in Spain. Records of the council refer to his see, the Sedis Britannarum, See of the Britons. So there's a British church active in the 6th century in northwest Spain. How cool is that? Which may have been seated at the monastery of St. Mary of Britannia. Maeloc's name is clearly Brythonic. Oh, I've actually called it Brythonic. Derived from the Celtic, I doubt that, but Maglakos, you know what I mean. Further evidence to the Brittonic presence in the area. Now, what struck me is the case that person was coming back to preach to fellow Britons that had been sitting in that area for, what would it be? That's 572. Brutus migration, so about 1,000 years, and there's still that link going. Or was it missionary work? Very hard to tell, but I think well worth more research if we can find out more about that. Aha, here we go. Right, Arnie B. Where's Arnie, my musician? Arnie! Been deserted. The proper musician. Anyway, so what we're going to have here, a chance to meet up. No, chance to meet me, great, okay, but more importantly, chance to meet each other, swap some phone numbers, get in touch, form little groups, just make friends, and we're going to have a fun evening, okay? A lot like we do on a Sunday evening. It's going to be live in the Workman's Hall in Caerphilly. It's a bit of a trial run. Got a lot of ideas, a lot of plans. I'm very more optimistic on these things. So it's going to be a good evening, okay? It's like a theatre. It's got a proper stage. It's got upper circle and lower circle. So, I'm getting a little nudge.
2020.
Aha! You can't quite see. Hang on. How am I going to get around this? That. So you can't see me a moment, otherwise you can't see the date. Thanks, Safi. Good to... No, wrong again. That button. Oh, man. I'm trying so hard to be more professional. Now we've got more people. It's back to the usual chaos and rubbish. And you're going to have my singing. So we'll get those numbers back down again. Right, so November the 30th. So you've got a few weeks warning. Put it in your diary. Right, now I am seeing Alan Wilson. So I can't guarantee this because he is 90, all right? But I'm off to see him soon. Give him Barham a little break. If you are new, I better do an update on this because we're basically two old guys who don't get much income. They got very little help. Alan's 90 now. Barham's not in very good health, I'm sorry to say. And he needs a break because his mother's almost 90. He's got Alan 90 and he's got his uncle 90 odd. And all three are in different parts of Newcastle. He doesn't have a car, so he needs money to help. So all the books we sell, all the revenue from the channel, all this stuff, they get a share, right? And what I'll be doing, I go up a bit later than what I did to. I wanted to go up about now, the last 2 years. And I get a cleaning company and clean the house, get their garden sorted, get everything nice, ready for the winter. Make sure everything's good, check their kitchen. It'll be a little scary sometimes. And just generally sort everything out. And also they give me new research and new stuff that needs publishing. We have a chance to spend some time together. Unless I'm going to be out there for 2 weeks. So I'll have plenty of chance to video Alan. Now, my very clever wife Angie has, we hope, got their internet working as well. So I might even broadcast from there. What I'm definitely hoping to do, and I'm sure it'll happen, is I'll video some more interviews with Alan Wilson. So there'll be something special at that evening on a big screen and we can show it. And you can have a look at that. Stuff that can't be put on the net. I can't really talk about it, can I? There's a few projects and that going on. There's a few things which get into dangerous waters, which I try to keep out all the politics and everything, but we can have a chat about it, right? That's all it is, okay? We're not like conspiring to change the world, nothing like that. Bring the books along. So, you can pick up the books, have a look at them, get some books signed. And the music. Where's Arnie? Arnie hasn't been very well today, and he played rugby this morning. Fair play to him. And I haven't got the music for this one. Okay. And this is hosted by the Glamorgan Trust, which I'm going to do an interview. Danielle, you saw in the chat. I'm going to do a proper interview with her and Lloyd to explain what this is all about. And it's all to do with Indigenous people. I'm trying to protect some of our rights and things like that. So it's very, very interesting. I'm not directly a member, but contribution for all the tickets will go to them. And we can find out more about that as well. So it's going to be £10, £8 for trust members, and children will probably sneak in if no one's looking too closely. £2 otherwise, okay? And if you can't afford it, don't worry, all right? Just come in on the evening. I'm sure it'll be fine. But assuming numbers, I shouldn't say that. I forget I said that. It'll all depend on numbers, okay? But, right. Oh, here he comes. Hi, Ron.
Hello.
You're all right. Very casual there. Right, what we're going to do, the other thing I want to mention, I'm not playing the guitar on this one. What's happening, Zev? Camera's off?
No, you put them
Oh, put me back on. I tell you what, you're doing really well, Zev. You're all over this, mate. We used to do one verse, I think. One project, which is, there's not much enthusiasm apart from me, really, but I keep pushing. And I've now got a professional musician involved, and that's Arthur the Musical, where we're going to put the works of Wilson and Blackett. It's obviously got to be changed a bit because it's a musical. I'm taking a lot of stuff from Arthur the Walking, the book, the storyline from there. Dramatised it. I've written some songs, and I've got a professional musician there helping with arrangements. We'll have some proper band members. I'm just going to give you a little bit of one of the songs, which is a bit tricky because this is written for Guinevere, the one who's going to marry Arthur. So she's about a 16-year-old girl, or even around about that age. So I haven't really got a 16-year-old girl's voice, so you're going to have to use a lot of imagination, okay? We're going to have a few instruments and that kind of stuff. And we're going to do, aren't we, Zav? We're going to do a premiere of Arthur's song, aren't we? Which Zavi's going to sing. He's got a beautiful singing voice. He's very nervous and shy about it. Oh, big brother piling in now, that's it. Right, Coin, can you remember the tune? Oh, yeah, let's get some examples. So Arthur's only 15, and if you know the story of the day, he's been thrown in because his father, Myrig, is injured. He's got a crocked leg, and he can't do the sort of the soldiering bits. So Arthur, one minute he's a boy, next minute, he's leading the armies, and he's thrown right in there, and he also has to marry. He has to marry Guinevere. And so poor Guinevere has never even met him. It's like an arranged marriage. So she's a bit wondering what's going on. And the whole musical's about who can trust who. Who can trust who? And there's a lot of twists and double tricks and things going on. So we're just going to do a little bit, just the one verse, I think. Huh? You ready?
Yeah.
Arnie's just checking if Zavi's fainted. Are you going to do introductions, or I just go straight in?
I'll do introduction.
Do you want to come a bit nearer so the mic gets it, actually? Who wouldn't want to be the queen? It's every little girl's dream to be the mother of his princes. But what about me? Is this my life to be? Just to be a wife to he? To be the mother of his princes. Let's do a chorus as well. But what about me? I wanna follow my heart. I want to follow my dreams. Not to do just what men say. There must be another way. Nicely played on. Well, that'll be enough for one night, I think. I have no viewers left. Your playing was beautiful. Thank you very much. Dragging me through that. So we're getting all done nicely. So we do a little bit of a live preview of some of that. Now, and a lot of people, people laughing. Angie's laughing in the background. Thanks, Ange. So there's I know people think, well, musicals are a bit, down market and all that kind of thing. The question I always put back in reply is one of the most successful musicals. We have a laugh as well, right? Don't take it too seriously. Don't take my singing too seriously, for goodness sake. Is Les Miserables has been running, I don't know, for 135 years in the West End, and it's been watched by everyone in the world at least 3 times. Whereas, which living person actually read the book? I've actually read Les Mis, and it's brilliant. But very few. So it's a way of getting the message across, get some interest, and it'd be good fun. And I think it'll be cracking. Okay, so there you go. More on that soon. I dread to think what the comments say, so I'll just skip there.
Arnie got roasted.
Arnie got roasted. He's got some of his friends on, has he?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to read some of the comments. Arnie never gets roasted, man.
This is the
Wonder why I wouldn't give up your day job for singing. Oh, it's me getting roasted. Arnie was a singer. Oh, thank you. Yeah, lovely violin. Don't get my day job. I have got no intention of becoming a singer. And that reminds me, I am looking for people to play the parts. So, if you want to be Guinevere, you get some cracking songs to sing, get a really good role, you're right in the centre of the action, please get in touch. Maybe, someone you know or something looking for a big break into showbiz. Same with Arthur. Arthur, so, teenage boy, if you like, and then a few others, a couple of old gits and that kind of thing. Please let me know if you're interested. I don't know how we're going to do it, but it's going to happen just by, what's his name? Thinking like my favourite actor, what's his name? Oh, you know what I mean. But build it and they will come. It's one of those sort of events. All right, put that away. That's enough of that. Right, I'm not going to do this now because not enough time. We'll do it in a week. But thank you to Dean Morgan for sending it through. It's another bit of our history. I think it's in Monmouthshire. It's listed castle. And the weird thing is, local people have put in almost 200 complaints and objections for various reasons. And CADW have gone, nah, it's fine. No objections from us. Anyway, let's get more to that during the week. I'm plugging this one again because it's not far away. Just to let you know, because you've got some of our members, particularly one, Benny Babbles, Geraint, has made a film. And his film will be showing on the Friday evening, October the 14th. So get yourself up to the Cumberland Valley Film Festival. I have no idea what the films are about. I just think it's great that people are doing things, I always encourage people to do things. Right, okay, yeah. Now, for those who are quite new to the channel, I thought as a little treat I'd just share this, okay? Because only a few months ago we arranged a little birthday party for Alan Wilson. And this annoys some of those historians who are just waiting for him to go away because he was in fantastic form. And I thought people like to see this. We have shown it once before. I want to show it again. I apologise in advance if it's too loud. I'll try and... I don't know how to set the levels on this, so it's not going to burst your eardrums. But you'll see Alan behind Dave's head. You'll see him in a second. So we ordered a pub. We got in there for about 1 o'clock. We thought, let's hope we get a couple of hours out of Alan. He's 90, he doesn't get out much. We'll take him back. 6 hours. 6 hours drinking pints, telling stories. He was on brilliant form and it was fantastic. People getting their books signed and chatting. So I was going to show you a little bit of happy birthday. Oh, more music, man. It's a music special tonight. Happy birthday to you. Hey! Come on, Bob, quick! Hey! Blow him out, Al, come on. Blow him out, Al, come on. Go on, Al, you can do it. Yeah, go on, Bob, yay! Excellent. So there we are. So if you haven't seen Alan for a while, yes, the old bugger's going strong and he's going great. And I find that heartwarming, that little scene there. I watch it again and again and again. And I can't wait to see him. I'm really looking forward to it. And again, there we go. Talking about looking forward to seeing things, more events. My goodness, it's like thinking church bulletin board, this is. But this one, it's week Monday. It's not far away. Get yourself to the railway in Llandaff and meet their Druid, meet Devereux, or current incarnation, Lawrence, Maine. I'm going to have an evening with the Druid there. It's going to be great fun. Arnie B, you got to come back, mate. We're almost up. Right, we'll have a hard time break now to do the Elvis song. So we'll do the Elvis song at the end because we just had loads of music. And it was by request, by the way. I was requested. It's not just me pushing myself on. I was requested last week singing an Elvis song. So I'll do it if Arnie turns out, we'll do it at the end, I think. Let's go on with the main thing, shall we? Right, bit of history. Wow, we flew through the news tonight. I'm just really excited. Right, what do I do? Yeah. What happened to the Vandals? What's the official view and everything, okay? Now it's a bit difficult to see. Arnie's come running in again. That was quick, wasn't it, Arnie? Yeah. I think it's a bit too soon for more music, all right? We'll do it towards the end, all right?
Just stopped it.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry to mess you up. They're so temperamental, these musical, artistic types, aren't they? Go. Right, so that's always a bit small for you to read, so I'm just going to jump back to me a second. Because before we dive in, it's one of these weird things. People say, how on earth can the Vandals have invaded Britain? I mean, we'd have heard about this, wouldn't we? It's massive news. All right, so there's a quick look on Wikipedia. Now, you'll notice I use Wikipedia quite a lot tonight. Not because I think it's like, the voice of God and it's perfect or anything like that, but it does tend to give you a really good idea of what the mainstream consensus view is. I'm not saying any of it's bang on or anything, but it does give you a good feeling, or an idea, I should say. We can go through all this, so don't worry. It's much more fun than this dry version. All right, so you can see, just give you an idea that what we're going to look at with Alan Wilson it fits, all right? It does fit all this. They're from the Order and the Vistula regions. Dacia, they came down into Spain, they went through North Africa, and then it's a case of what happened to them after then. So we just go down here a minute. We'll go through who they were and where they came from. You're going to see a very similar map to that, actually. Yeah, why didn't I use that one? Yeah, that would have worked. Maybe I did use that one. Britannia? Oh, hang on. Well, where's this come from? In AD 278, the Emperor Probus defeated Vandals and Burgundians and sent many of them to Britain. It is unknown where they were settled, though Silchester seems to be a very likely candidate. The city bears the name Silingi, is only one of 6 that exist in Roman Britain that did. Only one of 6 that did not survive. That's like a double negative there. And appears to have been ritually cursed. Wow, now that is really weird, isn't it? Oh, okay. Anyway, North African Kingdom is more interesting to us. That's not the Britain. That's not the ones we're talking about, boy. Interesting, though. First time I've seen that, then, because they sort of acknowledge that there's some trace of... Because a lot of the Roman history, if you're new channel, is bunkum, right? But anyway, let's see. I shouldn't say bunkum, shall I? I should say it's questionable. I'm rubbish at being academic. I'm just a bloke who's read the books and doing my best, all right? So what we have here, Silingi's interesting name. Right, okay, but there are some traces, it seems. I didn't know there were any traces. So we got the North Africa, we're going to be seeing all about this. They came to, and Bonifacius and all these people. Sack of Rome. So none of it is like, it's not like Alan Wilson and Baron Blackett just pick these things out of nothing, all right? They do come from, and I've highlighted this bit because I want to start at the end, which sounds a bit bonkers, all right? So anyway, there's all this stuff here about the church freedoms, and they were Arians as opposed to other Christians. Right, what I'm going to come to here. So North Africa, comprising Tunisia and eastern Algeria in the Vandal period, became a Roman province again. So the Vandals, as we'll see, ended up in North Africa. The Romans have come sweeping in from Byzantium, and they've overpowered them, and they've kicked them out, okay? Many Vandals went to Salde. So what I'm getting to is, what's the official account of where they went? What happened to the Vandals? Because we can go through where some of them went here, some of them went there, but it's not enough. It's just units. We're talking about, some of the women married Byzantine soldiers and settled in North Africa, and some elites or the choicest Vandal warriors were formed to 5 cavalry regiments. Again, it's just not enough people. There's hundreds in a regiment. The population we're talking about moves about 160,000. Where do they all go? Some enter the private service of Belisarius. The 1930 Catholic Encyclopedia, always an interesting place to go, by the way, fascinating what's in that book, states that Gelimer was honourably treated and received large estates in Galatia. Now we're back in Galatia again. Okay. He was also offered the rank of a patrician, but had to refuse it because he's not willing to change his Arian faith. Interesting, because Alan doesn't mention Arian faith, which seems to be quite important to them. And I think, don't forget, this book, by the way, we're getting most of this from King Arthur, King of Glamorgan and Gwent. I hope you can see that. I think you can. It's probably quite small because I'm in the corner. It was published in 1981. They were writing this stuff in the 1970s. They didn't have any internet or anything. How they managed to research all this and know it all, I just do not know. I just don't know how their lives are long enough to cover all the things they did. It's amazing. Anyway, in the words of the historian Roger Collins, the remaining Vandals were then shipped back to Constantinople to be absorbed into the imperial army. As a distinct ethnic unit, they disappeared. Some of the few Vandals remained in North Africa while more migrated back to Spain. They don't know is the bottom line. They don't know. This is hopeful and guessing. And these people can be explained other ways. It's one of the great mysteries is what happened to them. If you look at other accounts, you'll see that this was to have joined in with the Berbers and lived in North Africa. But as it says there, as a distinct ethnic unit, they disappeared. Well, Wilson and Blackett asked the question, did they disappear? Did they actually disappear? Or has it for some reason been forgotten or deliberately hidden or what? It's just weird, because if this is true, it's one of the biggest things in British history. So what happened to it? It also answers a lot of questions. History makes, as always in Wilson and Blackett, history makes a lot more sense when we look at their view rather than the sort of mainstream view we normally fed, okay? So that's the bit I just showed you on there. Right, so let's go back. Now I'm actually going to read from the book. To put my wonderful glasses. Hang on. Was there any comments at all saying I should sing? None at all, is it? No. I'll just crack on with it, Ross. Yeah. There we go. That's right. It's normal. Right, okay, so we're looking at this book here, page 220. So it's the Vandal invasion of Britain. All right, there's plenty of pictures and stuff. Bear with me. I can't read the whole chapter because it's pretty huge, but I picked out the bits you need to know. And you can read the rest yourself sometime. Right, so the story of the history of the kings of Britain, told by Griffith ap Arthur. Talked a lot about him last week. He's the one generally known as Geoffrey of Monmouth, much maligned. Talked last week about how he's considered ridiculous because things don't fall into an order. Well, Wilson Black showed, you can put them in order. He was working to the wrong date of Troy, and he put a couple of things wrong. But the actual details that contained in his history are correct. You just need to move it around to make it fit properly. And one of the things you have to do that is get your head around the idea that the Trojan War was 650, not 1200 BC or earlier. Right, anyway, jump on with the book. Right, so the history is written by Griffith ap Arthur, ends around 689 AD. The final chapters tell how, after the reign of Malgun and Vortiporius and Ceredic, there came another great invasion of Britain. Right, so what was this invasion? This one's kind of got confused. The enemy, because it's too late, it's too late to be the Anglo-Saxons. They're already there. They've been there a couple of hundred years. So who was it? The enemy, either invited in or at least not resisted by the Saxons, were an even more terrible menace than the Angles and Saxons, whom the Britons had contained and controlled into a form of relatively peaceful coexistence within the British island. The British had, as prophesied by Gildas around 540, declined into a number of separate... By the way, sorry, I misled people then. The invasion was not 689, so it was before then, right? Declined into a number of separated independent principalities and were disunited and unable to cope with this new threat. The result was pandemonium, with a great renewal of the old wars against a new and powerful enemy. There's only one inevitable result possible, for if the new enemy remained and was victorious, someone had to lose their lands. So if this Vandal people, 160,000 or more, turn up, they want land, there's no available land, they're going to take someone's land. That's the only way it works. The British city-states and kingdoms of Middle England vanished and were swallowed up, overwhelmed by this new barbarian flood. Griffith ap Arthur names these new and terrible allies of the Saxons as the Africans. It's the fast, actually, we don't need that map yet. As the Africans. Now, in modern terminology, one can immediately conjure up a picture of a massive horde of Zulu black warriors, or alternatively a host of Arab soldiers with flowing white kaftans and round shields armed with curved swords. These are impossible situations, so the question has to be asked, who were these Africans? The answer lies in the fact that black hair does not refer to the colour of the skin of these terrible invaders, but to the colour of their hair. So they were like the Black Danes, a people with black hair, or at least dark brown hair. Having disposed of that part of the description, we are left with the puzzle of Africa. If they were from Europe, then these people may well have been related tribe, race or nation to the Vandals, who moved through Spain related to the Vandals, moved through Europe and occupied Spain, and were then driven out of Spain by the Visigoths under King Atulf, the brother-in-law of Alaric, in 415. They then fled to North Africa, where the Romans recognised their kingdom in 435 AD, and the Vandals then eventually fled to North Africa, where the Vandals eventually captured Carthage in 439. All that's pretty much accepted. They were in Africa. They were Africans, effectively. In Africa, the Vandals spared nobody and no thing. Their progress down through Gaul into Spain in 406 AD was repeated. These Vandal peoples, the Askingi and Selingi, were allied to the Sciri and Alani, when they crossed the Rhine and followed the course, of the River Mersel and River Eisner, I think you say it, Eisner. They sacked the cities. Right, so what we're doing is follow their route now. So if you look here, I think I've picked them out. Yep, there you are. Well done, mate. So you've got the Selingi, Alans, Hastingi. So look at this area. So central, you can see the map. Yeah, good. Central Europe, here's Italy. Towards Hungary type area. Where this actually has, hang on, Ukraine's probably about there, isn't it? So an area in the news at the moment, around here. Look out for some of the other names as well. You see the Lombards, which becomes Lombardy as they move west. Here's our friends, Saxons, Angles, Danes. Interesting, got Cimbri here. Oh yeah, I want to say a little bit about this map, actually. I didn't draw this map. I've drawn on the map, but I haven't drawn the map. It's from Europe, around about 400 AD, by a guy called Thomas Lessman. I think it's on Wikipedia. It's on like the World History Atlas website. It's a strange map, though, because this is just Roman Empire. We don't need to name them. We'll name the Visigoths, but the Britons and Cymru and whatever, they don't get mentioned. I don't know who these are. Robbogdii? Because this is normally where the Scotii are, the Scots, or the original Irish people. Negante, Brigantes, Hiberni, possibly. Got Picts. Luigi up here or something. So don't take this map too literally, but this bit seems to be pretty good. This seems to be right. And what I wanted to show was the Roman Empire, because what I was talking about, this is the border. As long as this border held, we're going with classical history here, the Roman Empire could hold. Tragically, or well, not tragically, but the mistake seems to have been they were so determined to fight the British that they were prepared to use allies from here to help do so. And once they were in the empire and rampaging around, the whole thing was just a matter of time. The constant trading and bargaining and making alliances. So, right, let's get back to the book a second, just give you an idea of the map. So they sacked the cities of Reims, Amiens, Arras and Tournai, which is roughly here, which is the usual spot. It's sort of Belgium. It's where all the wars, if you want to go through Europe, that's the way you have to go, you know. That's where the World War I battlefields are. You're going to find Crécy, Agincourt, Waterloo. It's that kind of area. So good luck finding any archaeology there. So, right, anyway, but that's the key point. So they sacked the cities of Reims, Amiens, Arras and Tournai, making their name a byword for destruction. And then going southward through Aquitaine, they crossed into Spain in 409. Once arrived in Spain, the Vandals founded a kingdom under Gunderic. We'll come back to him, I think. And when the Roman governor of Africa, Bonifacius, revolted, he recruited their help. So he used the Vandals as part of his force. In answer to this appeal, Gaiseric, the brother of Gunderic, moved over across the Straits of Gibraltar, down to here. Cool graphics, eh? In 429. In 430, the Vandals attacked the city of Hippo, where the now reconciled Bonifacius and his army were annihilated. In 431, when the city fell. At this time, St. Augustine of Hippo perished also in the siege of the city. The Vandal power in Africa grew rapidly, and they built a great fleet to pursue their ravages, and still spared nothing and no one, despite the treaty with Rome. A fleet was sent from Constantinople, which is going to be there. The Eastern Roman Empire is going to come and save them and get rid of them, is the idea. Excuse me, go. I've got the chesties. And another treaty signed. And on top of this, the emperor's daughter, Eudocia, was betrothed to Gaseric's son, Huneric. So the Vandals got Valentinian's daughter and most of the Roman lands except for Carthage. So they've got all this part of North Africa now. Thus, as we have noted, Gaseric tore up the treaty and took Carthage, but he took that anyway in 439. This gave Gaseric his platform for an even greater conquest when in 465 he attacked Rome and took it easily, and then very scientifically and quite systematically pillaged and ransacked the city. Over in Africa, the Vandals were hated by other peoples, and they were in fact the only Aryan race in North Africa. Their power lasted until 548, following continued wars with the Eastern Europe from, the Eastern Empire, I should have said. They keep coming across to try and recapture this. You have to remember, this was a breadbasket. Climate must have been different then because they're very, very fertile. But in the end, they got kicked out because Belisarius, who we'll also get back to, one of the great generals of his era, he defeated them. And also the Berber population from West Africa, they revolted, they rose up as well. So the Eastern Empire of Rome had reasserted its power, and with its finest general, Belisarius, had gained control of the North African kingdom of the Vandals, who were a white-skinned, Aryan, Caucasian race. The Emperor of the East was Justinian, who now finally ruled a realm that encircled the entire Mediterranean. Right, so this is the campaign. This is from Wikipedia. Like I said again, it's not because I think Wikipedia is the best place to research. It is handy, though. It is very useful. And I just want to confirm that this is all in the mainstream history. And I have to say, doing the research for this programme, not just reading, obviously, Wilson and Blackett stuff, which I've read a few times now, is fantastic. Reading this period, 5th, 6th centuries, far more going on. And the other thing, which I think is really worth noticing, is the distances armies were travelling and people were travelling. Far more distances involved than we generally think. So when we're looking at things like migrations and movements of people, we shouldn't be so wrapped up with the distances, especially where seas are concerned. We've got to lose this mindset where we see water, rivers, seas, lakes as obstacles. They were the motorways. Much easier to travel by boat or ship than it is to hack your way through, swamps, marshes, dense woods. Safer as well. Yeah, I know there's pirates and things, but there's less general danger. It was tough times all over, wasn't it, really? So if you want to, you can look this up. Just look at Vandalic War on Wikipedia or something. It seems to tie in pretty well. It's pretty good. So they've set off from Constantinople, look. Here they come, and then there's the fighting in here. It was a really long, ongoing battle. It seems remarkably similar to, and it revolves around Carthage as well. You see history repeating itself, but here we go. Right, so it's so now we've finally got it's circling the entire Mediterranean because they finally got their empire back. So this is what we're kind of looking at. This is what's considered Justinian's territories. Again, it's a lap of the whole of the Mediterranean. Noticeable exceptions of this area, which is gone, all right? That's pretty much independent now. So the Visigoths held Spain and the Franks held France, both as great kingdoms recognised by the empire. Against this background, the Vandals had no option but to either accept Roman Byzantine domination or to leave North Africa. They're being beaten out of here. Where are they going to go? And the Mediterranean. This was the scene in the Mediterranean area in 550 AD. Right, now let's think what's happening in Britain at that time. When over in Britain, Arthur had fought at Camlan, which is 537 or 542. Now, I have to remember this is 1981, 40 years more of research. Some of these dates do change a bit, but the main stories don't, okay? Amalgam was to die in 562 or 547. Dates are difficult with this, and they are important. Right, there was another cloud up on the horizon at this time. For up in northern Germany, another part of the Vandal race was moving west. The Burgundians, see the Burgonds on this, have already moved a bit further than in Alan's notes. And they're moving up from the Oder-Vistula region from around 411 onwards. working their way up along the River Main and along the Rhine. These people entered Gaul under their king Gundikar. Remember these names? I'm not going to photographically remember them, but the sounds and the terms is like Gundikar and what the other ones we had, Geseric. They lots of letter G sounds. And they were settled inside the Roman frontiers around Lyon, Vienne, Besançon, Genève, Autun, Macon, in what became Upper Burgundy. So you remember all those places. So there we go, look. There is the kingdom of the Burgundians. Man, there's so much information about this period. I'd be up front. I didn't realise it was so well recorded and there was so much going on. This map is fantastic. One, for example, Ostrogoths. Helen Wilson points out somewhere in his work, I can't remember where. Ost doesn't mean east. It means the shiny ones because the shiny armour they wore. They're the shiny Goths. So that's the KDM means kingdom of the Ostrogoths. Got these Rugii. And I'm trying to work out where the Rhaetian area is. Monica's area on Italy, I think, right about here. There, I think. So it's not... It's got Alemanni. And Rugii, I'd like to know more about who they are. There's Salzburg. All right, there we go. Saxons, Angles, Jutes, Frisians. The Cymry, I meant to mention them on the previous time we looked at this European area. The Cymry seems related to the Cymry. The name's almost identical. And part of the same migrations, but on this map they disappeared. Cambrai, interesting. Cambrai. Now, what I do like about this map, and again, I think this is off Wikipedia, represents, as the fall of the Roman Empire, 479, is we have Britain shown very clearly in this area, northwest of France, which seems to get forgotten. Cambrai, here's the Franks coming in now. And what's happened here? We've had the invasions have come in. This would have been the Gauls as such. Where have they gone? Where have they been pushed to? Who are they? Who are the Gauls compared to who the people living there now? Because the other thing that's happened is when Clovis came in with these Franks, they were put up to it by the Roman church or whatever it was to crush what was the nascent, the newly forming church from similar to Christianity, from the Holy Family anyway, a similar message from here spread out across this area. The Franks have been ushered in by the Romans to kick them back out again. So this is this period where everything's back and forth. So here's our Burgundians down there, okay? Basques, Visigoths, they're all here, Britons. Okay, now, right. Right, these people entered Gaul under their king Gundikar and were settled inside the Roman frontiers around Lyon. You can see Lyon there, look, there's Lyon, there's Vienne, Autun, all the places Alan mentions. Everything checks out when you do Alan Wilson's work. Sometimes it takes a while to find it because he's not great at references. But if you're prepared to look eventually, big thanks to Patricia and Marshall, Adrian and people like that. All those people who've helped so much with finding references when we reprint the books and when we republish them, so it gives them a bit more, makes them less easy to attack, let's put it politely like that. And it's also easier for readers to have indexes and appendixes and references. So it's all part of the work that's going on. If you want to help, drop me an email. More hands make light work. Something like that. Right, anyway, let's read that a little bit again then. So they produced a great king, Gundibald. See the name again? Gundibald, who died in 516. And he codified their law into the Lex Gundibald. This nation was defeated by the sons of Clovis, king of the Franks, in 532, but their state remained intact under the control of the Frankish kings until 613. This means that there was, in the northern area of Europe, known as Germania or Germany in the Dark Ages, a nation prepared for military, mercenary, hire, or conquest. They're just sitting there looking for somewhere to live, looking for somewhere to go, being waited to say, come on, we're available and we're really good at fighting battles. This is exactly and precisely the situation outlined by Geoffrey of Monmouth in his History of the Kings of Britain. So yes, we've got two groups, all right? We've got the group from here, and we've got the Vandals sitting in North Africa, being kicked out in North Africa, looking for somewhere to go. Right, so in his account, Geoffrey, or Griffith, tells us how some few years after the death of Maglo, who is Maelgwn Gwynedd, North Wales king, the British leader was named Ceredig. However, the important point is that the Saxons sent for King Gormund, another G, Gormund, the king of the Africans, who was busy plundering Ireland. Ireland comes into this. This would be around 555 to 560 AD, and we can reasonably associate these Africans with the displaced Vandals from North Africa, a sun-tanned Aryan race of Caucasian origin. There are several likenesses to begin with. First, the names of their king. This is Gormund, is in the tradition of Gunderic and Gaiseric, Huneric and the others, and also compares well with Gundebald and Gundikar of the other part of the race in Burgundy. So Burgundy's Vandals, and so the North Africans who went to Ireland, ransacking, destroying the place. And we'll get back to that now. It's shown in the Mabinogi towards the end. Then we have other factors to consider. For the Vandals were excellent sailors who had built large fleets and for long periods dominated and terrorised the Mediterranean. They were a large nation and their fleets were equally large and powerful. Gaiseric had crossed the Straits of Gibraltar with 80,000 people, whilst Gunderic still held all of Spain with other armies. So, I mean, the official explanation could not account for all these people. In 455, Gaiseric, after subduing all North Africa, captured Rome easily. It's a huge people. This means that the Vandal fleets were capable of transporting huge numbers of their warriors. So when Geoffrey of Monmouth tells us that the king of the Africans was ravaging Ireland with 160,000 men, he may well be reasonably accurate, as that being the number of the entire nation. This huge fleet, an army, then descended upon Britain. Right, this is where it gets a bit ugly, okay? With Saxon connivance. So the Saxons have either invited them in or they've just put up no resistance. Either way, they're happy for them to turn up. Unlike the British, who are getting a right battering off them. Sorry, lost my place a second. Right, so there's this huge fleet. An army then descended upon Britain with Saxon connivance, and we now have from Geoffrey a description which tallies very closely to the description of the Vandals' march through Gaul 150 years before, and their subsequent actions in Spain and North Africa. Remember, we watched the graphs, they went down, cut across to North Africa. Nothing and no one was spared. Everything was ravaged, burned and destroyed. Now the cities of Middle Britain, which had resisted and dominated the Saxons, were destroyed with a Vandal avalanche. The populations are massacred and the civilization razed to the ground. Buildings were deliberately destroyed and no one was spared. The churches came for special treatment from these Vandal conquerors who were determinedly heathen or Aryan. I think Alan... Don't tell me, I think Alan needs to remember, they were Aryans, it seems, and I think he's even mentioned that himself, but different to the Apostolic British Church, anyway. But Alan's usually right, but it seems to me they were Aryans. Anyway, just as they had been in North Africa and elsewhere, this is an important point in linking these people with their places of origin. The few survivors of this monstrous massacre fled to the fastness of Wales and down to Cornwall, thus giving rise to the myth that the Britons were driven out of their lands in what is now England by the Anglo-Saxons. The plain truth is that the Angles and the Saxons succeeded. You see that area in the bottom right-hand corner. This map, again, is from Wikipedia. I've just blown it up. That's the area they're given them. Britain's still here. You just saw the map. And this becomes Mercia. Oh, I jumped the gun a bit then. Pretend you haven't seen that, all right? The conquest of what we call Middle Britain was accomplished by the Vandals with the Saxons as allies. In the face of a heathen onslaught, the bishops and abbots of Middle England took their books and vestments and even the relics of their saints and fled from Britain into Armorica, Britain down to here. Now a new and powerful heathen race settled into Middle Britain, worshipping their own heathen gods, determinedly opposed to the faith and the culture of others. This now Ross, hit the button, this now became the kingdom of Mercia, or the land of the Mercians, and whether or not the name derived from some word meaning mercenary is not clear. So the Vandals settled into the central area of Britain, occupying the areas formerly, now this is interesting, by the Romano-British city-states. So this is looking at the map there. As you can see, they expanded. I don't think it started off like this, but they had a massive, massive area. Again, this is a mainstream map, not one I've drawn. So this is the map from the book, page 223. So as you can see, it's pretty similar. It's worth a quick look at this, because you can see on here the Scots are there. Now, one of the things which, I can't read all of it, because it's just be huge. I don't even know what time is it now. Oh, we're doing right, it's 9 o'clock. Is that, I'm trying to make the shows a little bit shorter, by the way. It's getting regularly well over 2 hours. So, I'm going to pause here a second, because this is an area which has been quite a lot of discussion on the Britain's Hidden History Facebook group. If you haven't joined, search Britain's Hidden History on Facebook. If you go on there, I know social media's got a bad name. Trust me, this group's different, all right? It's, well, it has to be, as you get kicked out. It's very polite. We discuss differences of opinion about the issues, not the people, right? So don't say you're an idiot. You can say, well, I think the idea's a bit, wacko, but don't attack the person. And explain what the problem is. Same with the commenting on here, just being like, it's okay to disagree with people. You haven't got to fall out. I used to say this a lot. One of my best friends from college, I'm still friends, we've been friends for donkey's years. I don't think we agree on anything. It's okay, all right? It's okay. Just keep it polite, though. You argue the issues. I mean, he is an idiot, but I don't call him that. All right, so here's goes the... One thing I noticed Alan's missed off his map, which I'm really surprised at, is on a lot of maps, you'll see Gewisse is a separate area around here. All right, Gewisse, not the same as Essex. And Alan does write about them being Wessex, the term Wessex, being derived from Gewisse. Because in Welsh, when you mutate certain words, you drop the G, so it becomes Wisse, which is pretty much Wessex. It's almost the same word phonetically. I suppose this idea of this means west is more likely to be derived from Wesse. Same thing here, like, if it's Surrey, does not mean South Urries, where's the Norries? No, Surrey's different. It's actually old maps shown as Syria, because it's where the Syrians landed. And I was talking to someone the other day from this area, Dorset, beautiful county of Dorset. You got the same thing there. The words go back to Old Welsh, or British, if you like, whatever way you want to call it. Interesting here, this is called West Wales. That's what it used to be called. Just to cheer up the Cornish, Cernu, West Wales. And so these Scots here, what is explained in here, when these Vandals came through, they've cleared out a lot of this area. Because the other one I'd like to talk more about at some point is, who are the Irish? It's just kind of get your tin hat time when you start doing this kind of thing. Who are the Irish, who are the Scots? Really, really fascinating. Because Wales is a bit dull on that front. I mean, you've got those little sort of enclaves like Pembroke and stuff where you got... come on. The ones kicked out in the French Revolution. You had some of those come in. You got a little English area set up by the Tudors. But generally the Welsh populations remained the same for a long, long time until quite recently. Obviously Industrial Revolution, 1840s, and recent times now with the people drifting across from England again. But it's a little bit more complicated with Ireland and Scotland. Ireland here, you've got... The reason they call the Scots seems to go back to Queen Scotty, which is they're tracing their roots back to Egypt, same as the Cymry do. So, but that's the last time contact. They're not the same people. They're not Celts. They're not directly related unless you go back 3,500 years, something like that. And these got pushed into here, which is Scotland. The original British are here, the Britons, Strathclyde. These are the areas we're talking about. This is, actually Angles up here. So you've got your Beda or Bede. And so who were these? If you look at the conventional history, where did the Mercians come from? How did they leapfrog over the Anglians? Or where did they come from? They come this way. And as we'll see, if you read the Mabinogi, it describes all this. So when they're in Ireland causing trouble, Arthur and the Welsh army, or the British army, probably getting some allies in as well, because there's a big struggle before Mercia was formed, have gone across to fight them in Ireland. But whether they're outmanoeuvred or they've chased them, the Mercians have come back this way. They've gone rampaging through Wales, being traced, which is the story, as I pointed out earlier, the Twrch Trwyth, which is a very important Welsh fable from the Mabinogi, to show a little bit more about at the end. And what it shows there is about this giant pig and the piglets rampaging through Wales, destroying towns. How is a pig going to destroy towns and all these people and the piglets and have battles? Well, the pigs is a reference to the rampaging bull. The bull itself, so the Twrch is the bull, is a reference to the horns and the bulls and the way they represent themselves, and the piglets are the princes, and this is the battles. And this is where Arthur's older son, Nawi, died in the fighting against those. In fact, he seems to have more than one son, and they all died in the Vandal wars. And this is why we had the problem with the succession and lack of sons, and him having to marry again. All those things all pile on from this. But I thought it was worth pausing on that map for a minute. Oh, could have gone a little bit closer there. Let's give you an idea. Hang on. Come on. Next map. All right, so I've tried. Did not bang on these towns. I popped them on myself. Because the point being made here is which areas have been taken, all right? Right. So Vandals settled into the central area of Britain, occupying the areas formerly ruled by the Romano-British city-states of Leicester, Colchester, Oxford, Warwick, Worcester, Salisbury, Dorchester, and other towns. Loegria of old now became Mercia. So this Loegria, not lost lands like we're told at school. I look at the dictionary, I can't find lost as Loegria. I don't know where that comes from, really. Loegria is the old ancient name, probably to do with moon worshippers. You got Loeg there as the moon connection. Anyway, it's highly significant that up until the time of Alfred the Great, Gwisi, the Britons never allied themselves with any Anglo-Saxon kingdom for any purpose. The hatred was too strong and too deep. Yet in 633 AD, the Welsh king CADW was quite prepared to make an alliance with Penda, king of Mercia, the descendant of the Vandal kings. There could be no forgetting the continual acts of treachery which they'd suffered at the hands of the Saxons. The Mercian Vandals, they're a different bunch of people, they're not the same as the Saxons, had come seeking land, but the Saxons had broken their oaths in inviting them. And it does seem some sort of agreement was made, because the Britons seemed to pursue them out of Wales, but then they didn't concern themselves with pursuing them any further. So I imagine some sort of treaty was done. It is highly significant that up until the time... Oh, sorry, I just did that bit, sorry. The memory of the great betrayal of the peace treaty feast in 452 with the Saxon massacre of the British leaders would never fade. Not until all the kingdoms of the Mercians, the Angles, and the numerous Saxon and Jutish states of the south were finally coalesced together and ruled by the great Norman kings would the gradual conquest of the last British states be possible. Right, I was going to jump ahead there. I'll read a bit more of this. I think we're a little bit ahead. However, the important matter is the devastation of the lowland British city-states and kingdoms by the nation emigrating into the land from North Africa. It is interesting to contemplate what the people of... it's interesting to contemplate that the people of central England are descended from a race which devastated the whole of Roman Gaul, conquered and held all Spain, moved over to conquer North Africa and Carthage, and finally defeated Rome and looted the city before coming over to settle into Britain. Yeah, they got around a bit, didn't they? These new invaders who founded their kingdom in Mercia had their own well-organised central state and religious system, and they were decisively anti-Christian, which demonstrates that they came en masse and not as roving pirates who settled in small numbers and grew in strength. That's the myth. They came as a large army and they came to stay. It was the Mercians who pushed back the Welsh kingdoms to the natural border of the River Severn, roughly that line. Shrewsbury's about here somewhere. Oh, no, a little bit further down. Around about there, I guess. Which had been part of Welsh powers as far as Shrewsbury to prevent Welsh raiding across the river, and began the progress which resulted in the loss of the large district of Ergun to Morgannwg in the south. Ergun was south and west of Hereford. Yeah, I can't find this anywhere on the internet. Ergyng. But we're looking at this kind of area here. All right, because obviously Glamorgan now is just this bit, whereas Glamorgan used to be all that bit. So once again, Griffith ap Arthur the English Geoffrey of Monmouth, is quite correct in the general sense and in the particulars. The legacy of Arthur was a federal British kingdom, stretching from the Clyde in Scotland down through northwest England, including Wales and the whole of the Midlands of England, and the south and west from around Winchester. The arrival of the Vandals obliterated the whole central area of Middle England from the British sphere and greatly weakened the surviving states. Now the Angles in the north and the Saxons in the south could batter away at the reduced British states and slowly push back their borders. The balance of power had been tipped irreversibly against the British. Their area and their numbers were now reduced to a level comparable with that of their mortal enemies. Right, okay, well, there's a long list of things there and a lot more details. I'll just do one. Now, I'm not sure if this is before Wilson and Blackett did their research on the comet. I need to talk to Alan about this, because it's a very early book, and I'm not sure how much they mention the comet at this stage. I think a lot of the devastation was done by the comet. So if you look at the timing of this, and you have a chat with him about it, it would seem to fit in with the fact, actually, the area they've moved into might already have been devastated by the comet. Because the dates fit. Comet came in about 562. So this area might have been devastated anyway. So the Welsh might just, or the British might just hush them through and say, go on, you can have that bit. And it was already devastated. Because it's one thing vandalising, use a good word, vandalising someone else's place. It's another to vandalise and destroy the place that you want to live in, isn't it? So something to think about there. I think this is research in progress. And I need to bring that up. It just suddenly struck me then. Right. So the successors of Arthur may have been maligned by the historians, for they faced a far greater power grouping than the split. I will read the comments in a minute. I will have a pause and I'll read the comments. I can see there's loads of comments. And there's always some good ones there. This is why it's great to be live on a Sunday evening if you can make it. Then you can join the conversation. I know I'm talking, looking at the maps, and I haven't got time to answer, but there's loads of clever people on there who know more about this stuff than I do, and they'll be having a good chat on the line, okay? In fact, the chat's quite often better than this bit. Right, so, but their only chance of survival lay in unity, and this they did not preserve. Classic trait. It has been too easily and simply accepted that the work of Griffith ap Arthur, Geoffrey of Monmouth, was a fiction instead of a slightly muddled version of fact for far too long. A 12th century writer in war-torn Britain had massive disadvantages in presenting his case of material. This was the case of Manetho in Egypt in 280 BC and Herodotus in 450 BC. Both were derided and abused for centuries for recording what they knew as the truth. The history of the Cymry Britons is a long and legendary one, and as such has always been regarded with jealousy by Englishmen ignorant of their own past in respect to the Mercians. How many of that people are Mercians, how many are British, I'd be fascinating to know. Anyway, but the point is, a big chunk of it seems to be Mercian. The fundamental difficulty in dealing with Arthur, his activities, his kingdoms, and so on, has always been to failure to understand that Arthur is in fact two kings. Arthur I, 380s, and Arthur II, 6th century. Significantly, there is an ancient document which records the Irish belief that they came from North Africa. Now, incidentally, that the rule of Munster, Leinster and Connaught all fell to the Vandals of the 6th century, Ulster remaining the stronghold of the original inhabitants. So let's pop back to this map a second. Uphill, where was it? Oh, I thought it was there. No. Well, in a way you can see it there, Scots. So there's an argument here that maybe the Scots just got this bit, Ulster, and the other three main quarters of Ireland, maybe at least controlled. Let me say the people. Same here in Mercia, I would say. I don't think a situation where everybody's wiped out, but it's the political control, who the ruling family, who the army is, and a massive immigration of people. I was saying it's a real difficult thing with Irish politics. I'm going to stick my neck out a bit because there seems to be a fairly large-scale migration from about the 6th, 7th centuries. And then, of course, when you've got the Cromwellian thing going on, when they moved Protestants back into Northern Ireland, into Ulster, this is what's caused the problems ever since, because you've always had this the idea that this is a false population created because they were pro-British, as opposed to an argument, well, no, actually, they're always from there, and they were just coming back, and this is one people, this area. So there we go. I try and avoid modern politics for good reasons, and that's it's calmed down these days, but I was brought up in an era where that was a very sensitive part to talk about. So excuse me running for cover. No offence is meant to anybody, all right? Okay, so there's a painting I found of Geiseric sacking Rome. There's a bit more to go yet. We haven't quite finished yet. So this is going to go through there. All right, so there's Geiseric. So you can see, I'm not going to go through it now, but you can find this. All the things we talked about, all the things Wilson and Blackett, before they had internet and Wikipedia and all that, how they pieced it all together, I'm just flabbergasted. We're looking at, he died in Carthage, in the Vandal kingdom. So they were in North Africa. Where did they go? And here's some of the battles. It's one of the naval battles where the Romans are building a fleet ready to invade North Africa. The Vandals built their fleets. It says here, that's just a bit. Oh, can't do that. The Vandals decided to strike before the Roman navy became unbeatable. On May 13th, the fleet of I have the way they got the exact date. I'm not even sure what year it was, but anyway. On May 13th, a fleet of Vandal ships under the command of King Genseric, another G, surprised the Roman fleet. Many of the Roman captains had been bribed to switch sides. The Roman navy was totally destroyed, ending any hope of reconquering North Africa. Now, I've mentioned this because it shows they're a powerful force and a powerful naval force. They were quite capable of going to different places. Right, and there's now Belisarius. I'll say a little quick thing about him. He was the commander of the Byzantines. So when they came sweeping in from the east, he's the one who is the military genius behind it all, if you like. And he conquered the Vandal king North Africa in the Vandalic War. Vandal War. And conquered much of Italy during the Gothic War. He was fighting Goths. He's been fighting Germanic tribes his whole life. He also defeated the Vandal armies in the Battle of Decimum and played an important role at Tricamarum, compelling the Vandal king Gelimer to surrender. During the Gothic War, despite being significantly outnumbered, he and his troops captured the city of Rome and then held out against great odds during the siege of Rome. And I was saying to you, 5th and 6th century is far more going on than you realise. Really, really interesting, especially when you know the Wilson and Blackett bits to compare with and see the bits that don't quite make sense. They seem, how you can piece them together. So you can see all this stuff, the Vandal War, we've gone through all this. Right, what I wanted to get to was this bit. This is the British connection now, okay? Do you want to break now? No, let's just push on, I think. Let's push on. It says loads in the book. I'm just skipping through. Lots of details. Who married who did treaties with who, all that kind of stuff. I'm going to jump too far, Ross. Hang on, I'm in a big star and everything on here. All right, so it's jumping back to the... Right. Okay, I'm going to have to dive in a little bit. I was going to go further forward than this. Hang on, let's just read my notes. I don't need to do notes. You just talk off the top of my head. Right, this is a lot better organised, isn't it? Now we're getting a bit more serious. Right, so here we go. Our time is going back slightly to 455, okay? So in 455, when they returned from Rome to North Africa, the Vandals not only ruled the Mediterranean, but took all of North Africa from the Romans. The next year, 456, we're on page 227, by the way, Geiseric made a treaty with the swathes, and together they plundered the Roman province of Tarraconensis in Spain. On the 9th of July, 455, the new emperor of the West, named Avitas, appealed to Constantinople for help. But the emperor, Marcian, and his general, Aspar, in the east did nothing other than to ask Geiseric to behave more reasonably. Oh, just calm it down, mate. We can't bother to fight you, but, you're wrecking the place. This achieved nothing at all, and famine now haunted Italy. The Romans won some small successes at Agrigentum and another island off Corsica, but the Vandals ruled the western Mediterranean. Poor Avitus fled to Gaul, where he died in 456. All right, so we're going through the... Right, sorry, I'm going to do too much of this again. So he's won the battle, 474. The Vandals attack Greece. The Vandals is going everywhere, winning war after war. Here it is. Sorry about that. Right. So we're going to jump forward a bit now to the new king, Thrasimund the Beautiful. Thrasimund the Beautiful. That's great. Imagine being recorded as Thrasimund the Beautiful. Enforced the Arian Christian Code. See, so Alan talks about the Arian Christian Code in the churches of North Africa. So what does he mean by heathen? It's got to be the clash with the Arians, surely. Anyway, in the year 500, he married the Princess Amalafrida, the sister of Theodoric the Ostrogoth, then at the height of his power. Right, here we go. In Britain, in the year 518 AD, Arthur was elected king of all the Britons. Amalafrida arrived in Carthage with a body of 1,000 noble Goths and 5,000 armed slaves, and with the gift of part of Sicily to King Thrasimund of the Vandals. Problems arose both in Europe and North Africa, with Gesalux the Visigoth pretending to the throne, causing trouble in Europe, and the Moors still rebellious in North Africa. The tribes around Tripoli succeeded in defeating the Vandal king and became independent around 510 AD. King Thrasimund had become friendly with the Emperor of the East, Anastasius, and when Justin, the Orthodox Emperor, succeeded in Byzantium in 518, he continued his dangerous friendship. Under persuasion from Justin, King Thrasimund turned away from his friendship and alliances with the Ostrogoths in Italy, and slowly the Romans were again breaking up Germanic alliances in order to destroy the isolated states. It's the classic divide and conquer. They're experts. On the 6th of May, 523, King Thrasimund died and was... I just seen the mark where I should have read to. We're going to get a bit extra. We're a bit ahead of time anyway. And he was succeeded by Hilderic, the son of Huneric, and Eudoxia, Geseric's grandson. Wow, there's some names on there. You can see some on the screen. Hopefully it can help you. The new king, Hilderic, was as unlike the ruthless Geseric and the bloodthirsty Huneric as could be imaginable. He was aged and utterly effeminate. Doubtless the Vandals saw this as a result of the Roman blood of his mother. As a king, Hilderic was a complete disaster and proceeded to organise the ruin of his kingdom. So there's lots more information like that. But the bit I was going to jump to was this. So the position was now far too gone in North Africa for the Vandals to retrieve the situation. The Byzantine Emperor of the East, Justinian, demanded that the hopeless Hilderic be restored as king. Right, he's a dead loss, but no, we'll have him. He's great. We like him. Naturally, Gelimer refused. And so the train of events, which was to bring down the Britain of King Arthur, was set into motion. First, the Eastern Emperor made peace with the Persian Emperor, Chosroes. Again, there was a big war going on the eastern border. Calm that border down, free yourselves up to do somewhere else. In 532, and in the following year, 533, he sent his general, Belisarius, against the Vandals. History relates that a bishop went to the king proclaiming that he had a dream that the emperor was to liberate North Africa and to re-establish the Orthodox Church. So I think that's what's going on. Arians, Orthodox, Apostolic. Loads of different Christians in those days, despite the efforts of Constantine. Whatever the cause, Justinian, was able to send to North Africa one of the most brilliant generals of any age in Belisarius. And with him went the most powerful weapon in 6th century warfare, heavy armoured cavalry. Fortunately for us, Belisarius took with him a war correspondent, the writer Procopius. I've got to laugh there, Procopius. I was going to say it's preoccupied us. I shouldn't joke really, but it does remind me a bit of Asterix the Great, you know. His name was like Pen and Pencilus or something like that. Or Notepadus. Anyway, sorry. Serious Ross, Procopius. At sea, the Vandals, using small, fast ships and crews of around 40 men, could not match the large, fast-sailing war galleys of the imperial fleet. On land, they used mounted cavalry armed with swords and spears. Belisarius brought with him 10,000 heavy infantry and the Johannes of Epidaurus and 5,000 cavalry. In addition, he had 5,000 heavy cavalry, the super weapon, plus 400 heralds and 400 Huns. It's the Roman army now. The whole army was transported in 500 transport ships and 92 Byzantine warships, which sailed for North Africa in June of 533 AD. So that's the army that went and beat them. Now, this is the bit. In 548 AD, the Vandals did something very strange. They packed their army, their women, children, possessions on board their ships, and they sailed from North Africa. Much of their treasure had been captured by Belisarius at Hippo in 533. They had to contend with the imperial army, the hostile coastal tribes, and the dangerous Moors. Plainly, the Vandals had decided to go to live somewhere else. And finally, Fisher, in his 1935 book, History of Europe, sums up the pathetically naive views of historians in general, where he said the Vandals sailed away, never to be heard of again. How mad is that? Now, the key here is if you look at the names... Right, hang on a second. I have to jump in. This is a bit I didn't... I actually got this bit ready. Let's look. I thought I did have it. Yes, I do have it. I have got it. Hey, okay. Right, so here's the official version of Mercia. So that map, that's the one I lifted earlier. Right. Latinization of an Old English word derived from Mercian dialect. Merse, meaning borderland. Which is where the modern English word march also comes. The kingdom was rendered as Merse or Merk in the West Saxon dialect, and it's still used to this day. What I want to find is early history. Here we go. Right. Here we go. Mercia's exact evolution at the start of the Anglo-Saxon era remains more obscure. They don't know. More obscure means they don't know. Mercia developed an effective political structure and adopted Christianity later than the other kingdoms, as pointed out by Wilson and Blackett. Archaeological surveys show that Angles settled the lands north of the Thames by the 6th century. The boundary folk, Welsh marches, I think all that sounds a bit unlikely, but there you go. And the traditional interpretation is that the kingdom originated along the frontier between the native Welsh and Anglo-Saxon invaders. If it's between the Welsh and the Anglo-Saxons, who are they? What, magic? It's weird, isn't it? However, Peter Hunter Blair argued an alternative interpretation that they emerged along the frontier between Northumbria and the inhabitants of the Trent River Valley. I don't think it's emerged, although its earliest boundaries remain obscure. What do we know about it? Croyders, the king of Mercia, he built a fortress at Tamworth. Again, that's this area we're talking about there, which became the seat of Mercia's kings. His son Pubba, let's go down the Pubba, succeeded in 593, and then we go through the other names there. And you can see Penda and all these names. What you'll also find, if you look, it doesn't seem to be on here, if you look at the early rulers of Mercia, they fit in, they don't seem to have them here, Wilson and Blackett got them. The names fit with the names that you saw on that family tree. So this is the Kingdom of Mercia. That's more the area I think we're looking at. Like I said, it's sandwiched between... Look at this. Let's go a bit bigger on that one. This tells the story very well. So how do they get to here? Have they come through the Danes or wherever this is supposed to be? Or they come through the Angles or Wessex? They've had to fight their way through somewhere, you know. I don't think anyone just waved them through. They didn't just emerge. They must have come from somewhere. And the names then can be traced, which I'll do a follow-up on that one. Right, and the last one I want to cover is this Twrch, the wild boar, yeah? The giant pig. And this is to do with symbology, and it's explained by Wilson and Blackett in their writing. The symbology is, you got the boar, you know, the boar's head is like there on their banners and everything. This is how they described, how they referred to the Vandals. This is the Vandals. So, all that stuff there. In the wild boar. It says history of the wild boar in a matter of Britain. Right, so the names of the hound and boar are glimpsed in a piece of geographical, what on earth is that? Onomasticon. Composed in Latin in the 9th century, the Historia Britonum. So it's in the history book. However, a richly elaborate account of the Great Hunt appears in the great Welsh prose poem, which is where I know it from, Culhwch and Olwen. A Welsh, probably written around 1100. A passing reference to Twrch also occurs in the alleged Chwalchen Cynfelyn preserved in the Book of Aneurin. So there's various references to this boar. Right, the name in Welsh can be construed to mean the boar truth, and it may have an analogue in the triath of Irish mythology, of course. So the earliest reference to the boar truth occurs in the tract De Mirabilis Britannia, various titled as The Wonders of Britain. So it's near contemporaries, and then it's 9th century. So we're talking, it goes a long way back. And when you compare that things like Roman records, for example, were the earliest, this shocks people, the earliest examples are not till 15th, 16th century. Really, yeah, describing events almost 2,000 years earlier. So if you want to read up more about this story, then what you can do, you can find this wild creature with his poisonous bristles. Oh yeah, and you got it's all symbology. You have the pair of scissors, a comb and a razor on his head, and you have to go up and you have to be able to cut the hair without the boar killing you. And then, of course, Chechen to Troy. The stories go to France, then they come around, they all come back. And it's all to do with the ceremony of hair cutting. See, the whole point is missed out. Right, so the hunt for the Turk takes up the greater portion of the latter half of Culhwch and Olwen, and it's described in great detail the geographical route of the pursuit, because that's where the battles, and those who take active part in it. It is Arthur and his men who take the most prominent role in the chase. After causing the death of several of Arthur's troops, the boar surrenders the razor's scissors, and later by force, and is driven off into the sea off Cornwall and drowned. So the chief of the boars, the Ysgolwyddyn, the chief of the boars, had to be captured. The whole story's there. It just fascinates me how it's not really picked up on, because a big part of Welsh culture, and like it says there, there's dances and there's folk songs and all that. It's a big part of the culture, really. So I hope we covered that well there. Hang on a second. It's a little bit just about... I'm really interested to read the... and you can read more in the book then, in this book then. You can read more how Wilson and Blackett then tie these in with the early commanders of Mercia. You can see these names crop up in the British history. Oh, the end. Thank you for all those who purchased the books. Arnie B. Arnie, where's Arnie gone? We can do our duet. We can do our Elvis song. Yeah, a bit quicker tonight, only 9:30. I shall read some comments now. Wait for Arnie. Yes, well, consider becoming a patron supporter, and thank you for all those new members. We do need some help to keep Wilson and Blackett's work alive. As I always say, that in the 80s they found the history hanging on to the edge of the cliff by its fingertips. And then they dragged it back up. And we let go, it's going to slide back down that cliff and never be seen again. It's if anyone follows the channel for any loads, it's becoming more difficult all the time. Yes, we've got the internet and search things, and we've got drones, and we've got we can talk to each other much easier. We've got more people involved. All that's fantastic. What we can't get around is the fact that loads of these sites are being built on. Houses are going on top of them. They've been ploughed out. The mounds we need to see. The burial sites. The stones are being dreadfully looked after. The writings disappearing from them. Right, so what we're going to do now, if I've got any voice left, that's a trouble. If I sing at the end, not much voice left. Hang on a second. What do I do on? All right, we're going to do that one, yeah? We're going to do...
Yeah.
Right, so what I'll do now is a quick song, and then we're going to go through the comments, all right? So yourself. So your chance to comment on there. Let's look. I'll just read a couple first. Hang on a second. Just read a couple. Ross, your important work you're doing, carrying on Wilson and Blackett. This is real history that everyone should learn about the true Britons and their lingerie, their Fisher King, Brutus, King Coil, etc. Thank you. Yes, you're quite right.
That's not
Oh, there's loads more comments. So you found there's all right. There's loads. Excellent. Oh no, Matt. I'm sorry I missed it. I want to ask you some questions. I'm trying to find out local law of Lichfield, Staffordshire. Oh yeah. We got stacks on Lichfield. I'll tell you what. I'll write that down. Let's do Lichfield next week. That whole area. Wilson and Blackett have written quite a lot about that area, and also what the place names mean around there. And it was like the real centre, probably the capital of ancient Britain. And it's not in Wales, so there we are. I think I'm just going on about Wales. Right, now it was requested an Elvis Presley song. So if you're new to the channel, so I apologise in advance. The guitar's out.
Uh-oh.
I'm going to Can't Help Falling in Love with you. So you've had your warning, all right? Fair warning's been given. Can we get a cup of tea? Come back 5 minutes and we'll discuss the comments. Now, it says on the instructions it's supposed to have capo 2. What that means is, right, you put the thing on here which makes it go up a little bit higher. Now, I've got 2 capos, can't find either, so it's going to be a little bit lower than the usual version. I'm sure I'm going to find it somewhere. I'm a very basic strummer, guitarist and singer, okay? And there are no pretensions to be a great singer, but it's a bit of fun. A bit of fun. This Sunday evening, yeah, bit of variety. Is there, somewhere in this house there's going to be 6 pairs of reading glasses, 2 capos, about 100 pens and 123 odd socks, all in the same place. And we shall find them one day. Right, I need to try a bit of arrangement on you. Okay, so that's why we're doing more comments. Singing. Get the dog out. Yeah, I'm not doing hound dog. Got the wrong rhythm, haven't I? Okay, I'll just jump in, okay, on. Wise men say only fool. Oop, hang on. Sorry, on. Sorry, on. Right. Wise men say only fools worth sin, but I can't help falling in. It's like great in practice. Like a river flows surely to the sea. Darling, so it goes. Some things are meant to be. Take my hand, take my whole life too. For I can't help falling in love with you. Like a river flows gently to the sea. Darling, so it goes. Some things are meant to be. Take my hand, take my whole life too. For I can't help falling in love with you. For I can't help falling in love with you. Thank you, Arnie. You carried me through that. I don't know what happened at the beginning there. I think I got a bit. I didn't look at you. There's only you to look at. Who else can I look at? We'll have a row on camera. Now. No, are you? Yeah, I have to carry him through some of these songs. You know. Oh dear. My father always taught me some good advice. He said, "Never drink with forwards, never fight with forwards." That's rugby forwards, that is. So there we are. I'm not taking Arnie on. There you go. Oh, hang on, what am I doing? I'm the wrong bit now. I was going to try and see that. How can I see the comments, Seth? Here we go. There we are. Wow, there we are. So not everyone left. Right, and I go back a bit here on the comments. You can start getting ready. Yeah, it's bed. It's called tomorrow. Before tell everyone. Right. And go back in the comments. Right, let's go back to David Mosley. David, yes, I meant to say, because David actually lives in that peninsula, which was Kimbria, now part of Germany. Right, so we'll start from there, I think. So I'm going all the way back. I'm sorry about that. I will go back a little bit further. Squirrel Sniper, yeah, the Stone of Sconers links all the way back to Egypt. Yeah, there's a chance to ask questions, by the way. And I'll answer as best I can, but there's other people on there and I'll read out the answers. A little bit about exchange, chance if you've got something that's annoying, like the Litchfield thing. I won't go into that because that's a huge subject, and I want to do it properly with the whole thing, because you've got Arthur the First, the British kings, the burial sites. Litchfield's right bang in the centre, okay? So that'll be a big one, so hang on another week. Yeah, the Scottish link, the story is, now, If you go to the Irish, again, it's Irish hidden history, okay? You got the Book of Erse, and it's supposed to be held in Dublin University, and there are versions of it available. Wilson and Blackett certainly seem to have found it from somewhere.
Also, could someone did a £20 Patreon?
Oh, well, thank you very much. A donation from someone.
I tried, but it couldn't.
Okay, I'll find. I'll come down to it now. Thank you very much. So, what was I going to say? Yeah. So, their origin stories are going all the way back to Egypt. Now, the idea of the story is the Cymru, and this is where we come into lost tribes and all those things, is whenever you go into one part of history, you always go into hundreds of others. It's why Wilson Blackett. This channel, we got a video a day and 2 hours every Sunday. We've got enough material for about 20 years, so there's so much to cover. So we'll try our... The idea was, in the Exodus, you've got the tribes going one way, and the Irish tribes being ordered to pursue and destroy them. But they went the other way. So they're heading west along the north coast of Africa, across to Libya, which is where you get this other idea of the connections with Africans in Ireland. Again, the same thing, you see. And there's even this bizarre story going around that the Irish used to be... the skin colour was black, and so were the Welsh. There's some crazy stuff going on in history at the moment. The word African is being confused, same as was confused with the Vandals. Anyway, so the Irish claims the Book of Erse, they went up then to through the Gibraltar and finally ended up in Ireland. That's their claims. The Queen, who's related to this, and there's a lot of people in the group know more than I do, gives the name Scotty, Princess Scotty or Queen Scotty or the Pharaoh. And if you look, and you'll find out more about this in books like Moses in the Hieroglyphs, in the download that's available, the Odyssey, there's the red-haired mummies. And you can find out who they were and if it ties in with this story. So that's where the link-up comes. So that's where we have the Scotty. And ironically, the Scotty ended up invading southwest Scotland and making life very uncomfortable for the Cymru back in the 6th century, because the Scotty were being pushed out themselves by the Gaels. I'm still not exactly sure who the Gaels were, where the Gaels come from. And then if you look at Irish history, you've got Danes and Vikings and all sorts setting up Dublin. So who the Irish are is a bit complicated, and also gets complicated because the Scots is called Scotland. In Welsh, it's still called Alban, as in the original British. So are the Scots Irish or Scottish? It gets really complicated. You've got the Picts coming in from the north. It's fascinating, but a little bit tricky, all right? And you go really careful to upset people, these things. Right, so this is where the stone of Scone. Yes, Squirrel Sniper, that's the one, which is supposed to be under the throne of whoever's crowned, I'll be careful there, the coronation anyway. When the king's on the English throne, the stone of Scone, as I'm sure you know all about this, it's very controversial. Is it the real one or is it a culvert cover? And it was switched. One of my favourite stories. Will Charles get coronated at all? There we go. I've got a bit of a theory about that's never going to happen. And it could all tie in with Arthur. But you get a clue about that. If you see the Light newspaper, I've got an article running in the issue. It should be out on Thursday, I think. And you can have a look in there. So I won't spoil that. Right, David Mosley. We see the Jutland Peninsula named Kimbrish Halbinsey in Denmark museum displays, showing the area from the beginning of the Viking era to about 16th to 17th C. See Kimbrish, Cymru. Can you Angie sing in the background? Nice to have a happy house. Right. Yes, there's definite links there. Now, Dave's been looking at that more and more. And we're trying to work who came with who and all that kind of thing. Right, Marshall. I always say a table is not a table unless it has legs and its top. I missed a bit of conversation there. Wyvern the Terrible. Oh, I love that name, Wyvern the Terrible. I know in America people say Wyvern, but it's Wyvern, okay? It's the sort of ancient symbol of the Gwisi, which has been taken over as a sort of Anglo-Saxon. I think some sort of quite nationalistic groups use the Wyvern, but it's the ancient Gwisi symbol. So Myrig means dark-skinned. Oh, here we go. Myrig means dark-skinned. I'm not sure it does, but okay. I would... Myr equals more and suffix, so more like. Hence the anglicised name Morris. Moorish. Ah, interesting. That was from being the aforementioned race of cannibals' favourite delicacy. I think there's a joke in the end of that. But I can see the idea of Myrig meaning dark skin. I had to look up Myrig. I thought it had a different meaning, but I can see how Moors, type same with the North African connection. Susie Logan, very welcome. Alan Rees, I read that in the book King Arthur and King of Morgan went. That's the book we're coming from, yeah. Right, some more questions. Cimbrian Peninsula, yep, it's still there. Sorry, I'm trying not to laugh at some of the comments there. Oh, Bamper Mike's back. Good. Has been on during the week. Nice to see you again. Robert Avalon, Di Bowleg, son of Di Flatnose, son of Di the Eye. Yeah, it's really intellectual stuff this evening, isn't it? Yes, it's Sunday evening. We can relax a bit, can't we? So, Rhythmistic is saying the Mercia, Moorish Black Irish. Right, oh, here we go. Ron P. Waddle. Yes, and thank you for the person who lent me the Waddle book I'm reading. Man, it's difficult going. They're proper old books, you know. We realise how dumbed down we are. If you want to realise how dumbed down our world's becoming, try reading some old books and see how much more sophisticated the use of English was, how much more complicated the ideas, the themes, even children's books. The difference is like through the roof. The children's books basically are much funner than the old ones. I try reading the old children's books. But anyway, you can't fly without both wings. Thank you, Marshall. I like that. Right, okay, I'm not sure we've got too many questions on here. Squirrel Sniper, Brutus, past the realms of Gaul beneath the sunset, there lies an island once haunt of giants. Desert of Leighton, fit for thy people. Seek it, for there is your abode forever. Yes, I think that was the prophecy for Brutus when he came, the Brutus migrations. Wilson and Blackett say the giants, by the way, is probably a transcribing of Giantis, who would have been the earlier settlers. But hey, a lot of people think it was giants as well. Hey, Matt81, I'm sorry I missed it. I want to ask you some questions. Oh, yeah, that's we did that. Litchfield. Thank you for Matt81 to keep up the important work. Thank you very much. Alan Rees. Alfred the Great asked Geraint of Rharth Glas to educate them. They called him Asa. Yeah, this is true. I think there was 3 that went, wasn't there? There was Scotius. One from Ireland. He was like a bit of a joke. 3 monks went into a castle. It's almost like 3 of the Englishmen, the Welshman, the Irishman, and the Scotsman. Because the Alfred, his people were still illiterate apparently at that point. So they had to come and give them the gift of writing. Another interesting thing as well, if you look at Bede or Beda up in northeast, the great Venerable Bede, very misleading names. He's actually quite young, and Venerable implies old. I got a lot of problems with Bede. If you search Bede, you'll find videos about him. But the question is, what language did he write in? Because he didn't have any writing system. And it wasn't written in Latin. And his supposed scribe was called Cadman, which is a sort of very British name. So all he's saying, nothing's what we're expecting, are they? West of the Sevens, Greater Wales. Phoenix is the Phoenicians. See, I don't know who the Phoenicians are. I'm always interested to find out who are they. Right, okay. Right, Ron P. How could the tiny region the Angles came from populate the size of Britain? My thinking is a very small ruling elite that took control in the period of the so-called Anglo-Saxon invasion. Yeah, I think generally it's a political takeover, and the people largely are still English. But the thing you have to remember is the comet, the most important event in British history, which would have devastated it and made it totally open for people to come through. Achmasay Bran Lawlan, my favourite name. Coil Assyria, Bakwa Valley, Mount Hebron, the 33rd degree. Yeah, this 33 comes up a lot, doesn't it? Mentioning the Quran, Bakka, not Becca, which is 666.66 nautical miles from the Black Cuney in Mecca. Right, I don't know what all that's about, I don't know. But wow, yeah, it's getting a wow from me as well. Right, we got any questions about tonight? That's what I'm looking for. Right, Scarab City. In Hungarian, Arani is pronounced very similarly to Aryan, and it means gold or golden ones. Aryan means silver in Welsh. Legless. I'm sure there are many Anglos or Britons of today in the Midlands would love to hear of Vandal ancestry. Yeah, do you think people would be happy to be called a Vandal or unhappy? Interesting one for you. What else we got here? Drawing Excalibur, the king rushes the Romans and overthrows them, slaughtering them, making a path with his sword. Whoever it strikes once he sends to hell, cutting down horses and riders together. Wow, good stuff. Right, so there's loads and loads of So there's a lot of the comments that are one word as referring to what I'm saying, I think. I need to pay more attention to the comments. I'll try and keep up with them next time, okay? Achma say, Robert the Bruce was almost killed by a wild boar. Wow. I'm not sure the wild boar took out whole towns though, like this one did in the Mabinogi. I must do a special on that one because I think it's more about it. Right, okay. All right, I think bring it to an almost end. Gio, was it 9:45? Yeah. Good to see everyone online. I hope everybody enjoyed that. This is one of my favourite stories. I love the idea. It just makes more sense, doesn't it? How these people arrived in central England. All of it makes sense to me. But also we have to look at, I think, is curious. I need to read through this book again. If anyone out there commenting have read King of Glamorgan and Gwent recently, which I think was the first book, it's 1981, were they aware of the comment at this point? It doesn't seem to be mentioned in there. And I think we might be getting a little bit of an unfair rap on the Vandals saying they devastated everything, killed everyone. It might have been looking for someone to live, and there's some empty land. They fought their way to get there, but hey. Right, okay. Well, thank you very much, everybody. Another nice evening. What I'm going to do now, I'll close it down for me. Do you want to do the... Oh, what? I didn't see the donations, Have you mentioned the donation? Didn't come up on mine.
Patreon.
Oh, Patreon. Thank you very much. Yeah, try and join, help us keep going. But with the growing numbers now, it's all going very good. And there's still some copies of these left. These old hardbacks. I'm going to have a search to see if Alan's got any stashed away. We are finally coming to the end of them. I think Alan thought they were going to be there forever. Can we have longer videos during the week? Oh, I was thinking about doing that. Maybe a Wednesday evening, shall we? So I've noticed it's... it always surprises me is about double the number of people watch the 2-hour one as watch the shorter one. So, all right, it's quite a lot of work. We need to get the books out as well. But I think we could do that, couldn't we? We could pick some topics. And I've got so much stuff from Wilson Blackett, published and unpublished. I've got to get the books out, though. We have to get all this on the record. It's important. Excuse me. It's this back to school thing. It catches everyone out. So don't forget, come along on October the 8th. Come and meet Lawrence the Druid. I'll be introducing him. And not that he needs much introduction. And he'll be taking it from there. And then we'll... thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Oh, thank you. Nice comments there. One more tune. I'm going to say you're wonderful. It's nice to have one person who likes my singing, isn't it? Excellent. Right. I could do one more tune from this show. Do you want to close the camera off? What I do now, and I'll say goodnight. I don't want to go tonight. I feel full of beans. I want to talk for ages. I feel like starting a whole new... What we got next in the book here? We got the Great Mound of the Mabinogi and the Great Hound. The loads on Wilson Blackett. Oh, get the book anyway. It's fantastic. Who Sir Lancelot was, how it ties in with Malgan, Hura Gwynedd was in the play. I'll do a little bit about the musical. It's all about Malgan. He's the original Lancelot and how he ties it. Oh, it's like coming to the end of a party. You don't want to go home. Right, come on in, Sav. Turn the camera off. Give it the old... see if I can hit the right button. Well, thank you very much, everyone, for joining. It's brilliant. It's really great. It's such a really warm feeling. There's this loving, positive energy about this, and it's great. What was the first ever Wilson and Blackett book? I think this probably is the first one. I think this is 1981. The first three came up more or less together. The BBBs, the Big Black Books. Yeah, I think it's this one. Charters was second, and then Walking third. And then the next smaller book is... Never Be Far From a Copy. Artorius. Be brave, Ross, be brave. Oh, I just cracked my knee on the corner of the drawer. Oh, my goodness, you have no idea how much that hurt.
It's really big.
Oh, be brave, be brave. Oh, jeez. What a way to end the show in absolute agony. Oh, sorry, I've just hit my knee. It's like hitting a funny elbow, isn't it? Zabby thinks it's hilarious. Oh, the drawer's left sticking out. Oh, right. Hope everyone enjoyed that. I think it's... what's the Chinese philosopher I always quote? Angie reckons I make half of them up, and she's Chinese. So it's Confucius says, humour, a joke, a humour is watching your best friend fall off his roof.
Watching your neighbour.
Watching your neighbour falling off his roof. Yes, that's funny. Oh, so there you go. Right, good night. I just vandalised myself. Yes, thank you, I can say. Right, good night to everybody. I might... there we are. Let's just go. We're going to go. Right, till the next time. Oh, yeah, get the button ready. Right, hit the thing. Oh, North Star, everyone. North Star. Till next time. Peace. Sending my love and peace, everyone. Heddwch.